I'm interested in all things mouth related.
Mouth stuff.
Mouth stuff. Do you ever find that TMJ dysfunction, that TMD can sometimes trigger migraines for people or headaches? And so what would your like different strategies be for those types of migraines?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, we have a whole lesson kind of module around TMJ specifically. There is a very high correlation between people with chronic migraine and TMJ symptoms. So what we do mostly focus on, it's kind of like a three-phase approach that we use. And of course, if you need dental devices and things to help, that's absolutely there. But it's kind of a last resort option if none of the other more minor things work. So the first is we need to take a look at why that area is so tight. It can be related to stress because we're clenching. It can be related to inflammation, maybe things that we're eating that's causing inflammation, that's causing those muscles to clamp down. It could be because of the mitochondria piece that I mentioned, where we're just not getting enough energy to those muscles. It could be related to lack of oxygen to those muscles. Again, because we're not breathing, might be related to stress, might be related to just poor breathing habits that we get into as we go through life. So we want to kind of take a look at, some of those foundational pieces as usual, right? It's always what's causing the problem. So we want to kind of investigate that. But then we want to, kind of clean up the diet as we're doing for the migraine piece anyway, because that's going to help us identify if there are any food triggers that could be contributing to that muscle tension. And then we want to do some self muscle release actions at home. So there's a muscle, which I know Dr. Toni, called the lateral pterygoid that helps us to, or it causes our jaw to close. And that's what it gets really, really tight when we're clenching our jaw. So we can actually go in with our fingers into our mouth and touch that muscle. And just like if you're massaging a knot in your shoulder, you can do the same thing in your mouth. And so we teach our clients how to do that. And it's really painful and really uncomfortable until you're able to kind of release some of that tension. And then it starts to become like, oh, there it is. It's relaxed. That feels good.
Yes.
So we
Yes.
teach them how to do that. And then last but not least, we want to make sure that people are going in to be assessed chiropractically for cervical C1, C2, mandibular movement, things like that, to make sure that there's not a misalignment that is contributing to the muscles being tight and trying to hold things in place when something is out of place. And so we want to make sure that the structurally things are sound.
That really is exactly how I deal with TMJ issues too, in those orders.
Love it.
I just can't address it from a migraine standpoint, but yeah, I do the
Yeah.
exact same thing. Some kind of mouth appliance is last resort. Um, we practice self massage. I tell them how to get their fingers in their mouth and really find those knotted up muscles and do the
Awesome.
release themselves.
I've
Um,
actually never heard of a dentist giving any of those tips. Can I just say kudos to you, Dr. Toni? That's amazing.